Hello, my name is Brian Weiss and welcome to this installment of the Zokya Media Update. This update is for August 9th, 2020. This is going to be a pretty short update this week. A friend introduced me to a game called Satisfactory, and I spent a totally normal and healthy and non-excessive amount of time on that. An update on Bikepocolypse. So if you remember, this is my augmented reality, real-world fitness biking game where it kind of takes place in the post-apocalypse and everybody's on bikes. Things are coming along on that. I've run into having to try to solve an interesting problem with actually figuring out where the centroid of a polygon is. The centroid is like the most central point where theoretically you could balance the shape on. Turns out it's not as easy as I expected, and the reason I need that is for a few things. I want to be able to scale up the park uniformly, and also I need a place to put the icon in the center. Problem is, when you have convex polygons, or concave, I can't remember, the ones that are basically, will have like a cutout in the middle, their centroid might actually not be on the shape at all. So I'm trying to work on an algorithm that's going to figure that out. A couple other things I worked on that, I got the audio working, so the phone will actually use the text-to-speech function to announce to you when you're entering the range of an outpost or a park, and then announce when you actually arrive on it. This is kind of neat because you'll be able to hear directions from the game while riding your bike. You don't have to look at the screen, so you'll be able to hear when you've arrived at a place and discover new outposts that way, because you'll be riding around and you'll hear it announce stuff. So that's the update for Bikepocolypse. Calories for the Colony. Now this is the skill-based game, the one where you knock over the bricks, and it has kind of this theme going with ants. And to go along with that theme, I did a little bit of modeling work today and did a little anthill. You can see I used like the sand texture and actually modeled a high quality version of the anthill, high poly, that has kind of the sand details on it, and then I baked that in through a process with normal maps that allows a low poly model to look like it has all the details of the sand. So I think that looks pretty cool in the game. A couple of neat little side effects I noticed in entering this into the game. Firstly, you can, it turns out that the ball is just the right size that if you shoot it just right, it can balance inside the little hole. So maybe that'll be a way to score points in the game. I don't know, it could be a fun little thing. And you can also shoot the ball in such a way that it kind of uses the nest as a ramp, and that might be a neat way to get kind of trick shots in the game. So that's coming along. Hopefully I'll do a little bit more on that over the next week. Now something else that I've been working on, yet another project, speaking of ants, is actually working on artificial nests for the ants that I keep. I think I've mentioned before on here that I actually keep ants as pets. I have a few different colonies right now. I have a bunch of queens that I caught this year, and they're soon going to need a space to fund their colony in. There's lots of ways of going about this, but one of the methods you can use is actually grout, that you get from a hardware store, used for like grouting tiles and that sort of thing. You can actually pour the grout out into a square or cube or even a mold or something like that, and then you have a nest that, so long as you get the proper hydration in there, it actually works for the ants. So I used little containers such as this that I got and poured grout in there and did a little bit of carving on it. And here's what I have so far. I'm calling this the nano nest because it'll be for really particularly small ants. And you can see what I've done there is carved out some holes and places for the ants to be in there. And they have a little outworld here, so they can crawl up through this hole, come out here at the top, and hopefully they'll make their nest in here. One of the neat features is, you can just barely see it, but I actually put a small petri dish on the inside there with a mesh over it, and that's going to be a water tower. So I'll drill a small hole through here and make it so you can refill water, and the mesh is visible just in there. So when the queen lays her eggs and stuff, she'll have nice nest humidity. And I wanted to mention real quick this guy right here, his little ant waterer. That is made by a company called Formicariums. And you put the water up here, and the ants kind of drink out of the little holes. So there's just enough room for that to fit in there. So perfect. I was kind of thinking, might make a few of these for the queens that I have, and maybe I'll sell them. They're pretty neat. I have also a bigger one that I'm working on right here. And similar concept. You can see the water tower a little bit better in that one. You can see it on the underneath there. And I've yet to drill holes in here and do the painting and the whole thing, but this could work for a bigger species of ant. So that's it for this update. Be sure to follow us on social media, Zokya_media on pretty much everything, and see you in a couple weeks.